Welcome back to Golden Blue Dude. Hey, if you like what you see, please hit the like and subscribe button. And even if you don't like what you see and you want to tell me what I did wrong, that works as well. Today we're going to preview the National Championship, the game that culminates the college football season between number 3 Georgia and number 1 Alabama. Now both of these teams are 13-1, but they both got to the national championship in extremely different ways. Georgia dominated the regular season, and if you say Georgia was not tested in the regular season, you're fooling yourself. First game, they beat Clemson. Yeah, Clemson was slightly down this year, but they finished strong in the top 20. Run Vanderbilt off the field 62-0. Same thing with number 8 Arkansas, 37-0, and Arkansas will finish in the top 25. Went to Auburn, destroyed them 34-10. Took care of Kentucky 30-13. And Kentucky will finish in the top 25. Obliterated Florida 34-7. Obliterated Tennessee 41-17. Now let's flip over to Alabama. The way they got here, they struggled through the regular season. Went on the road to a bad Florida. Let's be honest, bad Florida survived 31-29. Took care of probably their best opponent on their schedule, Ole Miss 42-21. Then a head-scratching loss at Texas A&M 41-38. Took care of Tennessee 52-24, but that was a close game up until the fourth quarter. Struggled against LSU, but got the win 20-14. Struggled against Arkansas 42-35. Struggled on the road to Auburn 24-22. Then, of course, back to the SEC Championship, and that's where things got weird. I mean, they absolutely destroyed Georgia, 41-24. Georgia was the favorite. They blew Georgia out. That's what really confused me. On the year, Georgia averaged 39 points per game. That's 9th in the nation, and allowed 9.6 points per game. That's number 1 in the nation. For Alabama, they averaged 41.4 points per game. That's 3rd in the nation, and allowed 19.2 points per game. That's 13th in the nation. Those numbers were much lower before the SEC Championship. They were actually right around the 20 mark. Quarterback comparison. The quarterback for Georgia, Stetson Bennett. Not a bad year, but not a great year either. 168 for 261, 64.4%, threw for 2,638 yards, 27 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. Quarterback for Alabama, he's the Heisman Trophy winner, so of course he's had an amazing year. 331 for 490, that's 67.6%, threw for 4,503 yards, 46 touchdowns, and just 5 interceptions. The dude just does not throw very many interceptions. But what about when they played each other? Well, versus Alabama, Stetson Bennett went 29 for 48, 340 yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Now for Bryce Young, what did he do against Georgia? He carved them up. 26 for 44, 421 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Surprisingly, the running game wasn't that big of a factor, but it did favor Alabama. So the run game and the pass game actually favor Alabama. Where did Georgia's dominating defense go for the SEC Championship? It came back for the playoffs. I mean, look at the game against Michigan, 34-11, and it was never in doubt. That game was over by the start of the second quarter. The only game that Georgia gave up 20 more points was against Alabama. That's it. And the next closest was Tennessee with 17 points. And there was only 2 games where Georgia failed to score 30 points, and that was Clemson the first game and Alabama the SEC Championship. Now, for Alabama, they've allowed 20 more points on 7 separate occasions, including the win over Georgia. And Alabama has failed to score 30 points 3 times. That's LSU in a close win, Auburn in a close win, and Cincinnati in the blowout win. Now let's look at what went wrong in the SEC Championship for Georgia. I know the word everything is easy to say, but let's be more specific than that. The answer is real simple. They gave up way too many explosive plays. They gave up 7 pass plays that resulted in 20 or more yards. Bryce Young, the 67-yard touchdown pass. Bryce Young, 40-yard pass. Bryce Young, 23-yard pass. Bryce Young, 22-yard pass. Bryce Young, 23-yard pass. Bryce Young, 55-yard touchdown pass. And Bryce Young, 24-yard pass. That's insane, especially for the defense that we saw in the regular season. And there was a stretch that really determined that game, and that was the 4 straight possessions where Alabama scored 3 touchdowns and 1 field goal. Real quick, I want to break down what exactly went wrong for the Georgia defense against Alabama. And it was only against Alabama. They did not have these issues against anybody else. Well, first out of the gate, the 67-yard touchdown pass by Bryce Young. If you go back and watch this play, the safety was completely out of place. Alabama was running a receiver, you could either call it a wheel route or a slant route, right through the middle of the field, and that safety was way too close to the line of scrimmage. I have no idea who he was trying to cover because the linebacker had the guy that it looked like the safety was going after. What happened? The safety slid way too far down, and there was way too much space for that wide receiver. That was an easy throw for Bryce Young. Then after the receiver makes the catch, he's gone because there's nobody to stop him. That was a complete breakdown, and that came down to the safety. I don't know why he made that decision, but that was a terrible decision. The next thing I wanted to look at is the broken play that Bryce Young turned into a first down. So the play does break down for Bryce Young. He gets out in space and he forces this defender to make a choice. Either help tackle Bryce Young or take away the option, which came out of nowhere. He chose to try to help take down Bryce Young. Bryce Young options it out to his choice and boom, a first down. Next thing I want to look at is the second touchdown pass that Bryce Young threw. Now, in this play, Bryce Young, for one thing, he had way too much time. He had so much time that he was literally able to call his shot. If you go back and watch that play, he called that shot. That's how much time he had. So the dominating defensive line that Georgia had was neutralized by the struggling Alabama offensive line. It made no sense. Next thing I want to look at is another bad decision by one defender for Georgia. Number one, again, Bryce Young, way too much time in the pocket. And this guy finds a spot in the zone, sits there probably about 2-3 seconds before anybody even realizes that he's there. That can't happen. That doesn't even make any sense. How do you not know where your guy is? Who lost track of him? So that touchdown pass was a combination of Bryce Young having way too much time and once again the defense losing one player. You have to know where all the players are. You cannot lose one single player. This is Alabama. Now let's look at this next play. On this play, Bryce Young was flushed out of the pocket finally, but then there was way too much green in front of him and he was able to scramble for a first down. It's those little missed assignments that piled up. Next play, again, way too much time for Bryce Young. And nobody was around the receiver. Again, easy first down, and this was a 3rd and 10. This was a chance for Georgia to make Alabama punt. But no, they allow a first down on a 3rd and 10. That is demoralizing. This next play I want to talk about, it's more important than people realize. Bryce Young fumbles the ball. So yeah, he gave Georgia an opportunity. He fumbles the ball, but what happens? He outmuscles not one, not two, but 3 Georgia defenders to recover his own fumble. That was a big time opportunity for Georgia, and they failed to recover the fumble. 3 defenders outmuscled by Bryce Young. That's insane. The reason why I think that play was so important was scoring right before halftime after a fumble opportunity, allowing Alabama to go up 24-17 at halftime. That was demoralizing to Georgia. So I do think that was one of the key plays in this entire game. Next play, once again, way too much space in front of Bryce Young. This was an easy touchdown scramble for Bryce Young. He was barely touched going into the end zone. So before halftime, 4 straight drives, 3 touchdowns, 1 field goal, and then to start the second half, another touchdown, and now Georgia's looking at a 31-17 deficit. And Alabama just adds on to it. This is the second big touchdown pass by Bryce Young, 55-yard touchdown pass. Of course, once again, plenty of time. He had enough time to step up 3 times if he wanted to. The receiver beats the cornerback and the safety. Easy pitch and catch for Bryce Young. This play actually started on the line of scrimmage. Georgia tried to run a stunt. Number 56 for Alabama was able to hand his guy off to number 79. Number 33 for Georgia, who was coming on the inside, he actually hesitated. He didn't immediately stunt, so that didn't make any sense. And once that happened, 56 was easily able to pick him up. And then, of course, on the edge, the running back was able to pick up the edge rush with the chip and go. Big-time size matchup, didn't matter on the edge. And if you look at the line of scrimmage before Bryce Young threw it, you see 3 one-on-ones. One-on-one, one-on-one, one-on-one. And for whatever reason, Georgia was not able to take advantage of that. And look how far the safety is on that play. Why is he that far up? The cornerback was playing on the right side of the receiver, and the safety was playing on the left side of the receiver. Kind of an over-under. Cornerback under right, safety over left. Didn't matter because the receiver beat them both. Now, the interesting thing about the national championship is Alabama will be without John Mechie, and he's a big-time receiver. So my question is, how is that going to affect Alabama's game plan against Georgia, and how is that going to affect Georgia's game plan for Alabama? Because whatever this game plan was, it didn't work. It was terrible. The defense was out of place almost the entire game. It made no sense. Georgia's offense was okay. I know Stetson Bennett threw that pick 6, but that was pretty much whenever the game was already decided. So the offense did what they were supposed to do, but the defense, I can't even explain it. This looked like a bad group of 5 defense. I guarantee you that Kirby Smart had his players watch a ton of film and will continue make his players watch a ton of film on that SEC championship game and point out exactly what I'm telling you. Too many players out of place. Bryce Young with way too much time, and the safety got beat consistently. I mean, not just one time, I mean, all over the place. So he has got to correct that, or it's going to be another long day for Georgia. The good news is we saw Georgia in the regular season, and they do have a dominant defense. We saw them against Michigan, did it again. So just do what you know what to do. Don't try to overdo it. Maybe that's what happened in the SEC Championship. Maybe the Georgia defense tried to do too much, and it came back to bite them in the rear end. Play within yourselves. Play disciplined football, and you will beat Alabama. I think the opening line is Georgia is favored by 3. There's a reason for that, and it's because Georgia made way too many mistakes. It wasn't because Alabama was just, this great team. I mean, we looked at them in the regular season. They're not a great team. They're a pretty good team, and they are the number 1 team in the nation, but Georgia has the defense that can beat Alabama. And then, of course, we know that it's very, very difficult to beat an elite team 2 times in the same season. And that's what Alabama is up against. And if you look at history, the team that won the regular season got the rematch in the national championship, lost 0-4. And the last time it happened, Alabama-LSU. Alabama lost to LSU in the regular season, but then beat LSU for the national championship. I think Alabama's going to be dominating next year. This could be the game that determines if Alabama's going to three-peat or not. So Georgia, it's up to you to keep that from happening. But they also have to avoid the mental game. Who they're playing, Alabama. Greatest coach of all time, Nick Saban. 18 national championships. If they can get over that mental hurdle and play like the Georgia defense we saw in every other game except for the SEC championship, Georgia has a really good opportunity to win this game. I think that's exactly what happens. I think Georgia fixes those mistakes that they made against Alabama. The offense won't do anything spectacular, but they won't cost Georgia the game. So I do believe Georgia will win the national championship. My final score prediction, Georgia 31, Alabama 24. That's all I got for you for this show. Like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you on my next show.